Yo, what's up, everyone? Back for this Friday slate. We have a nice slate tonight, a full slate. Some injury news, as always, on a lot of these slates, but especially tonight. So keep an eye on it. Yesterday, able to cash. Posted the updated cores on Twitter, as I always do. Draftkings went with the Sixers stack. Fanduel also had a bunch of Sixers, and they came through. And then Marquise Chris came through again as a low-owned center play on Fanduel, which worked out nicely. So able to cash on double ups on Draftkings, and Fanduel cash, I think, in double ups and tournaments, in some tournaments at least. So let's get into tonight's slate. You can drop a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. If you want to follow for updates, you can follow the Twitter. And let's get started here at point guard. Luca Dante is up to 11-3. He is questionable for an illness. See if he plays or not. Even if he's in, I don't think I'll get to him just because you have some cheaper options like LeBron, Young. So I probably won't get up there. The guy that I like quite a bit right now at point guard, going down the list here, in the 7K range, I think Dinwiddie's viable. I like Rubio a little bit. Under 7K, Elfrid Payton looks fine here. The minutes are a little bit volatile, but if he's given minutes, he's been productive. And we've seen spots where they give him 36 minutes. So he looks pretty good as a low-owned play with a ton of upside. And then under 6K, still be like Fultz. Looks pretty good with 48 doubtfuls, only 5,400. And you have some of the injuries on the Pacers, so both Holiday and McConnell look pretty good. Assuming McConnell starts, he's been starting in place of Brogdon, so I think he will start. He played pretty well, much better than Holiday did last game when Brogdon left with an injury. Put up 30 fantasy points in 30 minutes. Price tag is up to $4,000, but it's not that big of a jump for a guy that's been a point per minute producer on the year. Whenever he's jumped into the starting lineups when he was with the Sixers, he's always been productive, and it's a good spot against Chicago, not a good defense. So TJ looks good at $4,000 as a value play. Over at shooting guard, I like Devin Booker. No DeAndre Ayton, so Booker gets a nice bump in usage. Also no Kelly Oubre still. I'd say Jimmy Butler looks okay at 7,900. DeRozan's been basically useless since Aldridge has gone out. He's been okay in some of these spots, but like scoring 10 points, scoring 12 points, he just doesn't look that motivated. But it's a spot against Brooklyn, so I will get to him. The matchups for him against Charlotte, it was just super slow, so lost a couple possessions. And then he had some tough matchups against the Pacers and against the Magic. So it is a good spot against Brooklyn. I think he's a viable option today. Then you also have Karras Levert at 7,000, who I do like. He coming off of his monster game, it was a back-to-back traveling, so his legs were shot. Only shot 6 of 19, 0 of 5 from distance, but was still solid in terms of putting up 30 fantasy points in just 27 minutes. And then also Tim Hardaway's questionable. Fournier's doubtful, so Terrence Ross looks like he will jump into the starting lineup or at least see good minutes. He's been on a hot streak. Whenever Ross is shooting the ball well, he usually stays hot for a couple games at least, and recently his shot's been falling, especially from distance. The three-pointers have been falling. It is an incredible spot against Minnesota. They play absolutely no defense. So definitely looking at Terrence Ross today at 5,700. And if Oladipo's in, I think he's viable just with the injuries on Indiana. So right now I'd say that Terrence Ross looks like a pretty good bet at 5,700. Some guy that I will probably try to get in there. At small forward, LeBron looks fine at 10.9. Tatum's up to 10K. He's fine, but I don't know if I will get there with Kemba back, even though Kemba's might still be limited, but it will take away some, and 10K Tatum is a pretty high price tag. Besides that, under 6K, looking at not a ton at this position really looks that appealing as cheap options. So probably a spot where I will pay up for a Levert or a DeRozan at 7,200. Both look pretty good. And then there's not a ton of value right now either at this position. So right now I like Levert at 7,000. He's still pretty inexpensive, has some upside, and has been playing very well and still gets a great spot against the Spurs defense, which is not very good. And power forward, when you have Tatum at 10,000 and you have Davis at 9,800, it's a spot where I will definitely get to Anthony Davis here. It's a spot which should be a very competitive game against Milwaukee. It's going to be a marquee game. Can't wait to watch this game tonight. And best part about watching a game is having a piece of that game and having a player. And that player is going to be Anthony Davis. He is just too cheap at 9,800. Definitely has a spot that he can destroy. It's at home. They're going to need his length out there. And should be a fast-paced game as the Bucks play fast. So Davis is the guy that I want to pay up for at 9,800. One of the best value plays on the slate is Aaron Baines at center here. Going through this position, I like Vucevic, Sabonis at the top. In the value range, I think Valanciunas looks fine, 7,400, and Zion looks okay at 76. And then going cheap at this position, definitely Aaron Baines is the best play at 3,000. Just too cheap. Will definitely start in place of DeAndre Ayton, or that's what he's been doing. He's like didn't play the last couple games or maybe one game, just as a coach's decision. But that's when DeAndre Ayton just played so many minutes, so he should definitely start in place of Ayton. He played 39 minutes, so definitely love Aaron Baines tonight at just 3,000 on DraftKings, and it's a spot where they will need a big guy. Can't go super small because Portland does play Whiteside a boatload of minutes. And then at forward, a cheap guy that I kind of like, playing a Laker, so I think I probably want to run it back with the Buck, and that's going to be Chris Middleton is down to 6,800. Whenever he's under 7,000 is when I have the most interest, just because he is such a good player. So fun to watch, too, because most of his shots go in. He's shooting over 50% from the floor, 43% from distance. Plays big minutes for the team in close games. They have not been in a lot of close games. That's why he's only averaging 29 minutes or 29.8 minutes on the year. But as you see, he's averaging 37 fantasy points. So whenever he's out there on the court, he is producing with or without Giannis. Obviously, it's better without Giannis, but it's going to be a two-headed monster with Giannis and Middleton tonight. And just 6,800 for Chris Middleton with the upside that he does possess is attracting some of my attention. So even with all these plays, he still leaves you with 6,850 left to fill out the other two spots. On Fanduel here, pretty similar what I'm looking at on the slate. I think Doncic is more valuable here at 10.7. There's a lot to like at this position. You have Ricky Rubio, 7K, looks good. Dinwiddie's down to 6,800. If Kemba's not limited, he's only 6,500 with all the injuries. I still like Elfrid Payton for tournaments. And then you have DeJounte Murray still. Fultz at 5K without Fournier. And you still have some of the value in Indiana. But probably the top point per dollar play is still going to be TJ McConnell at 3,800. Just for the reasons that I mentioned on DraftKings. At shooting guard, definitely Bradley Beal looks good at 10-1. We will definitely have the value to pay up for him on FanDuel. But also Devin Booker looks good without DeAndre Ayton. You have DeRozan at a good price point. Levert is insanely cheap. Chris Middleton is insanely cheap on FanDuel as well. And then you have Terrence Ross at 5,200. They're the main ones that I'm really looking at. And then you still have some like tournament plays with Beasley and Oladipo and like Brooks. But Levert still at 6,700 is still tough for me not to have. Lost like 7 or 8 minutes last game against Memphis, but he was still productive. It was a back-to-back, and he played his heart out against Boston the day before, so got a day off, so hopefully he feels better tonight. It's a home game as well. At small forward, I like Giannis at 11-1. I like LeBron at 10-2. Probably will try to get one of those two in my lineup just because we will have the value. Both of them look like great plays tonight. Personally, I have Giannis at 11-1 because I kind of like Davis. We'll pay up for Davis, so instead of paying up for both LeBron and Davis, get Giannis here, and then a power forward will probably pay up for Davis, who's only 10-4. You have plenty of value on the slate. This is a spot where I definitely want to get into this. I want to get some pieces of this game, and Davis is more attractive on FanDuel because of the block upside that he has. He had a 6-block game against Philly. He had like a 7-block or a 7-stock game against the Pelicans. 8-stock game against the Grizz. So he's known for blocking shots. Giannis loves to drive to the rim. Middleton and Bledsoe especially loves to drive to the rim. So it's a spot where Davis could rack up some blocks and steals. And then at center here, Vucevic looks appealing at 8,400. I like Turner, 6,000, especially if they are banged up with injuries. And 4,900 for Aaron Baines still looks good. I expect him to play pretty heavy minutes. Tonight, probably 30 plus. Been a good producer on the year when he's given those minutes, and that should not really change today. And then I think if you want to go cheaper, you could take a shot on Wendell Carter. His minutes should go up tonight. Minutes limit should go up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for Fanduel and for Draftkings. As always, I post the final updates on Twitter, so follow me there. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.